Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
This is the homepage. I'll not be going through the homepage. I'll be directly getting into the administrator column. This is the administrator view. We have got many subsections here. Might be some of them would be familiar with this. Some might not be. Let's in first place. Let's go ahead and begin with the user part of it. No doubt Fieldglass is a software as a service for contingent workforce management, or I would say external workforce management. Let's keep this in bay and let's get into the user part. Let's understand who is users. Or users, the contractors, the external workforce. As far as the users are concerned, it is not the contractors. It is the employees. Contractors are different. The external workers, they are employed. They are employees. They're employees to another company which has outsourced or which has given the contract. For example, your company might be working for a different company. And your company is a service company and it renders service to another product company or a service company on and forth. When you are a service company employee to the client, you are an external worker. You will not be referred to as user here. Users are the employees of that particular company. Being that said, users might be hiring managers. Users might be managing the hiring process as like MSP, the managed service providers. Though managed service providers are from different companies, but still they'll be getting the user access for a different reason. Please interrupt me if I'm going way beyond or things are going above your head. When we refer to a user in Fieldglass as the employee, when we refer to the user as an employee, where do we think this data is coming from? See, I clearly clarified you guys that a user is an employee of that particular company. He is not from service company. He is the employee of their own company, of their company. When a user is an employee of that particular company, where do we think his data is coming from? Say I'm directly getting into the integration part because this is an administrative training. I guess there must be some database. See, they must be from database, no doubt. You rent a service to another company. It might be a product company or a service company. Doesn't matter. You render services to another company. You render a service to the other company. Your code as a contractor and the other company's employees will be residing. They should be residing in some database. What is that database called as? It's our database. Absolutely. It is the HR database. Your database in the HR system. Similarly, the client's company's employees' data will be residing in the HR system. HR system might be Workday. It might be SuccessFactors. It might be from the ERP SaaS. No doubt it's been extinguished now. ERP's HR systems are extinguished. It is. It will be residing in the HR database, the human resource database. It is from there. The data will be pushed to Fieldglass. In some companies, they might maintain this data manually. They might integrate between the two systems. They might integrate between SuccessFactors and Fieldglass. They might integrate between Workday and Fieldglass. They might integrate with the on-premises ERP systems aspect. HCM new code as. Now it is hybrid from SAP. That's the employee data. Exclusive employee data. We fill up the timesheets within Fieldglass as a contractor. You log in with your username and password that's been given by your contract company. You get in there and you punch in your time submitted. It's not the manager from G1 Technologies who approves it. It is the reporting manager of the client's hand who is going to approve it. And hence they are having the user role here. That's the brief introduction into the user. User data can be maintained manually or it can be pushed from the other systems as well via integration. Under user, what all we can do? We can set the password policy. Let's get in there. The password policies are in simple terms. What should be, how should be the password, how typical should be the password, or say how tough or how secure should be the password. We have got the minimum length, the login attempts. The minimum length is set here. The login attempts is set here. The number of attempts where the user ID will be locked. And retain the password. The number of days, the password. One particular password can be used. Post that it's going to expire and we need to reset the password. And we have got what are all the passwords consist of: capture letters, lowercase numerical values, and on. We have got the PL class mobile application as well for the users, where they can go ahead and approve their work items, approve or reject their work items. For that reason, even under mobile application, we will be setting up this length, the pin length, and on number of maximum numbers in sequential order. These are the options that we have got. However, it's been set here and you see that we still have more. How many we can utilize is look to the company's decision. We have got the options here. We have got the minimum password age, maximum characters in sequential order, identical characters, consecutive retained. These are all the options that's been given from Fieldglass, where we can utilize as per the company's requirement. It is as simple as that. How a password should be. How secure the password should be. Right now we are seeing like whatever the screen we are seeing as in admin, right? As in admin, whatever the password setting options we are giving to the users. As in admin, we are seeing the screen, right? As if a user. See, it's for the user. As an administrator, you are going to set the requirements for the user. We are giving the options to like. We are setting the options for the users. Got it? No doubt, at the end of the day, it's users who is going to work. At the end of the day, it's the user who is going to utilize this tool. And a person who is implementing, a company who is implementing, should always think it as user-friendly, not only in terms of user data, in terms of everything. The complete workflow, the complete functionality of Fieldglass, and how users reach us to that functionality should be in a friendly manner. Update. This is for the users to update their password accordingly. This is the password policy. It completely talks about the policy, how the password should be created, maintained, and reset. That's with respect to the password policy. Let's go to the option called supervisor. Nothing has been set here. Supervisor list has not been set here. Because some of the companies might use marginally, they might use Fieldglass marginally, and they might set a list of users as the supervisors. They are the consent supervisors. And they might put them into the supervisor's role here. They can give the title because they will be working in the different streams or different lines. Supervisors are nothing but the line managers. It is completely left to the company's ideology of whether to utilize this or not. However, the contractors will be reporting to the users. In the other way, they are called as the managers of those contractors. Whether we set it under the separate list for supervisor or not. And hence it has not been utilized here. The user roles. This is one of the important aspects. These are the roles that is given to all the users from the HR database. Coming to the field class. These are the complete set roles. The roles are created here. For example, if I'm going through the list of users that's been already there, we see numerous roles here. These numerous roles, they will be playing an active role within field class. In terms of managing the contractors, managing their own contractors, or managing the contractors for certain locations, managing the contractors for certain business units, or managing the contractors as MSP. MSP is called as Managed Service Providers, who is again another company. It's not. The employees from MSP are same as you guys. Even they are service company and they will be working to the client. They still have the user access. MSPs, the Managed Service Providers, are not the employees of a company of client's company. They are the contractors for the client's company. But still they will be having the user access into field class. Shall we understand? How is that? Can someone answer this? Let me go through some of the major roles that will be playing active part in managing contractors and field class and active part and field class altogether. Hiring managers. Hiring managers are the managers who is going to hire, who is going to manage the complete hiring process. Contractors of a contingent worker, of an external worker. They might be from the same company or they might be the MSBs, the managed service providers. In such cases, when they are an external contractor manager and yet they need to manage the complete hiring process within field bars, they need to have the user access. They need to have the user access. And hence they will be gaining the user access. Their data is not coming from the HR system. Why their data is not coming from the HR system? MSBs are a different company. It's rendering the managed service providers. Let's assume a managed service provider. They are working for another company. Let's say whichever the company is. Let's assume it's Energy Australia right here. They are the managed service providers for external workforce management. The employees of Energy Australia flows from their HR system, whereas you will not be recorded in their HR system. You will be recorded just in field class system. As like HR system for employees, field class system is for the external contractors. Data is for That's the reason the data is not flowing from there. However, they need to have the user access within system. Within field class, they need to have the user access. They are called as non-birthright users. They will be created as users here, though their data is not flowing from the HR system. Simply because they need to manage in and out of the hiring process. They need to manage the suppliers and work with the buyers in the sense, the managers from Energy Australia for the requirements. They say they need 4 contractors for this particular role in this particular location at this particular time. They are going to put across. I think you guys know how they do that. They are going to put across the request and the requisition will be served accordingly. We have got numerous users here. We have got the admin status here. Admin status might not be all from the Energy Australia. Even admin status are supposed to be from the other service companies as well. Might be even technologies serving some part of the integrations or some part of the field class technicalities or the complete field class technicalities. They need to have the administrator access. When they want the administrator access users, we need to create a user role, though the data is not flowing from the HR system. Even there we have got the non-birthright users. Admin. PMO is called as Program Management Office, which is from the MSP team. The remaining users, most of all, will be from the buyer's company, that is probably Energy Australia, I would say. Over here, what we are doing is setting up the user role. I'm going to show an example. And that's how we'll be creating the new as well. For example, this is called as Admin Work Order Revision Approval. When it is a revision approval, that's one of the roles that company has decided while implementing. No doubt, while implementing, they go through numerous sessions understanding how the tool can be utilized, how best the tool can be utilized to their business. In that sessions, they would have decided we need an exclusive administrator who can review the work order before approving. It's only the work order revision, it's not the work order. And hence the name has been run, Work Order Revision Approval. Over here, we have got the user permissions, the list of user permissions. We have got a list of user permissions where we can go through the permissions, like we have got the module, what this user can do. Can he just view it? Do he have any financial business with that? Can he submit it? Can he manage it? Approve, play close on. And we have got the other stats as well, but this with respect to annotations, messages and on. These are the options that we set up for a user. When a user is entered in under this particular role, what all access it can have and what not is what we call it as setting up a user role. Similarly, if I have to create anything new, I can go ahead. I can create similarly the options we saw there. We are going to find those options here. Whole lot of options, right? With respect to the user permissions, we have got a whole lot of options, right? Administrative relations. This is how we are going to set this as the user role. No doubt, when we are setting the user role, there should be a match between the HR system and the field class, in the sense the roles that have been set up within the HR system should match with the roles that we create here. That when the data is flowing from the HR system to the field class, it works accordingly. According to the rules that's been set here. We spoke about the user role. If I'm doing something with respect to one or two roles, I can sit and create things one by one, right? If there are, say, 2 or 3 roles, that's fine. I can sit all alone. Even if I have got numerous options here, I am gonna spend a day all together and set one particular role. Yes, I can do it manually. Whereas when I've got numerous roles that needs to be set up within field class, I cannot sit and do it manually. I need to have some amount of technology to load it all at once. And we have got a connector for this. Connectors are the tool that's being used whether you do it manually or whether you're trying to push the data from one system to another system using a metal wire. Those are the tools that's been used to connect between the system or load it completely into the system. That we find it under. I'm just taking it up. This is the standard user rule, detail upload. I'll go ahead and we have got the guide here. Whichever the system you might be working for another client and the field class looks similar and the connectors look similar. You find no difference except the way the system has been configured. The standard configurations will remain the same across the companies, whereas there are custom configurations that will be done on their own. It's taking a lot of time. This is let's take it out of order. There you go. This is the guide for me, which will make me understand how to use this connector. I see this is the connector overview that just gives you for what reason it can be used. We have got the triggering point name of the user role. This just explains you how to use this connector. The problem is that the configuration manager, when once the user role has been set in the company. When the user roles are set in the company, they don't want the administrators to change it, or they don't want administrators to add on the new user roles without company's decision, without the management, or without the company's decision. And hence they disable it, and hence I'm unable to download this. But how the connector looks like is whatever the information that we are supposed to give manually here, we can give the CSV file. It is all CSV file when we are uploading into the field class. It's all CSV file that's going to accept. That's how the connector will be. No doubt will be getting into any other connectors. That's when you can get some idea about it. This is the user data. This is the user data. No doubt. The user data comes from the HR system as we discussed. Each user will be having a role within field class. The role that can set up in the user roles can only be there. The roles that can be assigned to be user data. Any of the user. Post getting the access. What we are going to do is we are going to just walk around. Let's not disturb whatever is there. Rather, we can try anything new you want, you can try. I've got the view here where you can view the guy. I can download the template here. This is a CSV file. This is a CSV file. This is called the connector. This is called the manual user upload connector. No doubt the same connector will be used when we automate or integrate the data from Workday or say from SuccessFactors or any header system to field class. The top 8 rows, this data which has been highlighted is called as the master header. Sorry, this is called as the header data. This is the header data. Here we are going to. We see the type. Type defines what it is doing. That's when the system is going to understand. When we try to upload this with all the data here, it's going to understand. The system has to understand what action it means to perform. That's what the type defines. Transaction says true. It all has a meaning over here. Send notification says true, where the notification will be set up. The language is set there. Number format is set here. It is all by default while implementing things. They will decide and set it up. The date format is set here. Profile worker. If profile worker business unit when owner is closed is equal to false. It's been set. It's been set. I'm going to explain. The transaction is equal to true in the sense the transaction should be true for the system to take action accordingly. Type will make the system understand what it has to do. Transaction will make the system understand whether it has to do it or not. Notifications. The notifications will be done in the system and eventually the notifications will be sent. Whether such notifications should be sent for this upload or not to the consent parties is what is explained here. If it is true, it is going to send. If it's false, it's not going to. These are the normal setup that's been done with respect to long language number format and on. Modification type A is for add. When we are adding a new user, it is a new. When we are updating something, when we are updating some data for the username or for the person who is reciting, who is already there in the system, D stands for delete, which is going to delete the data. If a user already has the user account in Fieldglass by clicking on D, it's going to get deleted. We have got the complete information set up here. The complete user data needs to be put across. It's not that every data is mandatory. There are certain data that needs to be put on, like the username, first and last name. There are certain mandated fields that needs to be set up. Remaining, we don't need to. They can leave it. For example, let's go into a manual setup. There we go. We have prefix first and last name. Whatever is there with the red asterisk, it is mandatory fields. It is all mandatory fields. And what is not there is completely optional. The same thing you see here as well, the same info. You need to function here as well. Whenever the mandated data is missing here when you upload, it throws an error. It throws an error when we say transaction is equal to true whatever is correct. Whatever the data set is correct, the system is going to process it. The remaining will not be processed. When I set the transaction as false, the amount of whatever the amount of data is, if one data is wrong or one data is not matching according to the Fieldglass setup, it's going to completely throw the error. We can have numerous data entered here and upload it. Post uploading, the system processes. The data have set the transaction as true. As long as the complete data set is correct, correct, it's going to process, and if there is any errors it's going to throw stating that there are many errors, we need to take out the error file, fix the data and upload it. If the transaction is set to false, it's not going to upload. Even if one data set is wrong, it's not going to upload. It's going to complete through the error. By correcting that, we can again upload it and system accepts the data. When one system accepts the data, we can see them right here under the user data. Is it too much? We uploaded one. We tried to upload one template, right? Or we filled one file and we tried to upload, right? This is the data. This data can be uploaded into Fieldglass. When I say I go upload, I can find the data. I want to choose the connector. I don't have to choose the connector because it clearly says that it's manual user upload. This type gives the connector's name. When I go here, I can only see that. Select it upload. It's not going to get uploaded because there are many data that's missing. I can go to the integration audit trial. This is the place where we check whatever we do. I saw it somewhere there. That's it. We see the upload. We see the upload data error. 2 records failed. I'll go down and see what exactly it is required. Data is missing for a role name, primary business unit, primary supervisor, username and these are the things which have missed to fill it up and hence it has stolen error. These are very important. This one's very important. As I explained you, we have already spoken about the user role. User roles forms a very important aspect in creating the user data and hence there should be a match between the user role in HR system as well as the user role that we maintain here. Primary business unit is the business unit to which they belong to. They might be having different verticals and horizontals within the company. We need to have the business unit primary supervisor username, the person to whom this user reports. These are the things that we need. The role name should be something which is defined in the system. Primary business unit is something which is defined in the system. Primary supervisor username should be already end user in the field class. That covers the user entity within field class. We spoke about the password policy, setting up the password policy, which is a simple stuff. We understand it. It's general in nature. We understood the user role and the importance of it, and we understood the user data and its integration part, how it's been integrated from where it comes in. Primarily, we understood who is contractor, who is employee, on and forth. The master data. I'll be picking up the complete master data today. Next to user, we have got something called supplier. Do you guys have any idea who is the supplier? If you guys are say, for example, you guys are working for energy of state, they need the human resource, the external contractors. They got the suitable contractors and the operate product and they form as a supplier within the system. And they are the suppliers for Energy Australia and hence they form as a supplier within the system, Energy Australia system. For that we need to put across them. There is something called vendor master. There is something called vendor master where we can see the vendor details. These are the vendor details under the vendor master. That's the vendor master data and this is the list of suppliers. No doubt it's just the master data maintained within the system. Some companies does, some doesn't. It all depends upon company's requirement. For example, if they need to maintain some of the information right here, they're going to maintain this. If they don't want, they don't, and some of the companies, they don't maintain the master, vendor master. Rather, they'll directly utilize everything in the supplier. They're going to set up a supplier there and set up a supplier here with the required information. If you want to see in detail and edit this, we find from supplier name to code non-transactional suppliers. Non-transactional suppliers are called because they are not transacting within Fieldglass. There are some modules within Fieldglass for which they utilize just for the head count and the contract as well as the payment terms will be settled right outside the Fieldglass. That is called as Profile Worker Module. Profile Worker Module is one of the modules which is used just for the purpose of head counts and for providing the access to the contractors into their office premises or to their assets, say laptops, on and forth. Non-transactional suppliers, if it says yes, they are not transacting within Fieldglass. They don't have anything called time sheets, expense sheets to be filled in Fieldglass. A profile worker would not be having access to Fieldglass to fill up his time sheets or expenses, as like the contingent worker does. The payments on is completely settled right outside the Fieldglass. The transaction suppliers on the other end is like their contractors will be filling up their timesheets and expense sheets within Fieldglass, and based upon that, it will be approved, and eventually post the approval, the invoice gets generated. Invoice flows to the different systems, probably to the accounts payable in ERP, and the payments will be done. And the same thing will be updated in the system as well, in ERP as well as in feed accounts. These are the two types of suppliers, that is, transaction and non-transactional suppliers. We have got the options to set up here. Set up the supplier. We will set it up as per the company's requirement. What are the services that we get providing if they're providing the profile, what you see here? Services for the module temp. Here is the SU module, the contingent module. P. As I explained, MSP is one of the managers. I would say to who is managing this hiring process. It will be buyer or supplier, funder. I don't want to get completely into the functionality stuff. Here is where we are going to load the suppliers. As like users, we have got the connector for the supplier as well. Saying this setup, what happens is like we need to update them in the vendor master in first place and then invite them. We need to update them in the vendor master and then invite them into. By inviting they'll accept the invitation and they'll register themselves at their end. Supplier will register themselves at their end and in Fieldglass tool itself. That will be the supplier interface for Fieldglass. By that they will become a supplier. If I click on here, I can get into the guide that will explain me how to use this connector. You guys can go through these things as in when you're free. Numerous fields, numerous fields. However, the unique identifier is very important. Say for example, if I need to update a data, update in the sense there is certain correction. Some correction I need to do. How will the system understand to which supplier I'm doing it? It's through the vendor ID. If I put on the vendor ID, it recognizes this. This is the record to which I need to make this correction. Let's open the vendor master upload. This is the vendor master upload. This is the connector name. As I told you, this is the header data. Connector name transactions is set to false here. If the transaction is set to false, one data goes wrong. The complete file will not get updated. Yep, I've got the date format and comments. Modification type. As usual, it is A or A for adding a new vendor, U for updating the existing vendor, D for deleting the existing vendor. Eventually, we have got numerous fields here. There's numerous fields. Most of them are not mandatory, but some are mandatory. This is something which you can explore at your free time. Get along with the data. Look at the system. See what all the data we have got. You can update this. Try to upload. See what is the error you're seeing. Any questions, come to me. We shall discuss on that. This is the connector for vendor master upload. Once the vendor master is uploaded, a vendor master data will be updated in the system. As like this, a vendor master data will be updated. Here we have got the invite option. Here we click on the invitation, goes supplier registers at their end and the registration is done. They'll become the supplier and the same vendor will be seen under the supplier invitation. This is the supplier invitation. Vendor master. When I hit invite, the supplier invitation will be sent. I can see that data here. However, if we have the bulk vendors for whom the invite needs to be sent, we can do it through the upload. We can download the template here, fill up the required information and upload the file done. They're going to get invited rather than doing it one by one right here. But yes, vendor master is master in first place if they are utilizing the vendor master utility within the system. This forms one of the master data. There is something called qualification template. Qualification template is like they are as a buyer. They want the suppliers to be well qualified to send out their contractors. Some of the companies utilize and some doesn't. Here, they are not utilizing it. For example, if they want any certifications as such or as a supplier, if they want any certifications as such, any basic trainings that needs to be rendered to the contractors, of the contractor rendered by the service company to the contractors, on and forth. That is all the requirements of a buyer company. For example, it depends upon the buyer company's business. In some cases, they need to have the fire attention to be trained. because they're working in the oil mines. They need to have the safety training to be done, and when they're handling typical machineries, they need to go through those trainings. That needs to be done. What they do is they request the service companies to do all those stuff, and those can be created over here. Those can be created over here, and those needs to be attained by the service company or the supplier, that they'll be eligible to be a supplier here for this buyer called energy history. There is something called distribution list. Distribution list is like if a job posting. If a job posting is created, how it needs to be distributed. A company might be a global company. They might be working at the national level or the international level, or a global company, a job posting created for say Middle East region, or say let's consider in simple terms, it is in India, some state in India. Let's say it's Tamil Nadu. Where it has to go. If a job posting template is created in Tamil, create it for a job where the location is based in Tamil Nadu. It cannot be sent to United States. Certainly not. They are looking there. They are looking for someone where they are within Tamil Nadu, where the site is, where the work location is. They try to filter out the suppliers as like that. They filter out the suppliers based upon the regions, based upon the sites which suppliers are willing to serve. For example, G1 Technologies. They are just willing to serve one particular state, Tamil Nadu, and some particular sites, say Chennai, say Coimbatore, and on. Probably 2 or 3 sites are. Let's assume it's just 2 or 3 sites that G1 Technologies is willing to render the service. For what are they going to do? When they create the job posting, it will be posted. The job posting will be distributed amongst the suppliers. If the job posting is related to Chennai site, G1 Technologies might receive it. If it is related to somewhere in the United States, Austin, or anywhere, there is no point G1 Technology receiving that job posting. Anyhow, they'll be unable to respond to it. That's the reason a distribution list is maintained as, and when supplier is ready to supply the contractors for many sites, for those many sites, if the job postings or any transaction data that's been created will be visible too. In this, if this is an exceptional case, they are not maintaining the job, they are not maintaining the distribution list. But yes, it is. It is something which is very important. It is because when they are working at the national or international level, they need to have the distribution list. They cannot just keep on sending out the job listings to everyone where they cannot respond. While creating the distribution list, we can create the code name. Name it Associate associate the business units. Business unit to which this needs to be applied. For selected suppliers, we can select the suppliers here. We have got all the suppliers. We'll be having all the suppliers right here. We can select any one of the suppliers and add it. By that, we are creating the distribution list. Post creation of this distribution list. It will be visible while creating the job posting. While creating the job posting, this is the distribution list to which we need to send that the job posting will be distributed to and suppliers. That's the distribution list. We understood the vendor master. We understood the supplier. No doubt, vendor master and suppliers, you don't have much of the difference. As I told you, many companies will not be using with the vendor master. Rather, they just get into the supplier stuff. And we have got supplier invitation. We understood the supplier invitation, how it gets into the suppliers and how they register. We understood what is qualification template and we got to know the distribution list and its importance. Out of this, it's the supplier data or the vendor master, which is called as master data. Yes, we understood what is suppliers and how we maintain the suppliers and the connector that's being related to the vendor master or the supplier. User form. One user forms as one part of the master data. Supplier data forms another set of master data right next to that. Let's move further to the next one, which is called the company structure. This covers the remaining master data. The remaining master data are like company code, business unit, a cost object or the cost center, location and plant. We have got something called business unit. Yes, business unit is the combination of it's one of the units or one of the verticals of a company. If a company is there, you have got numerous stuff. You have got manufacturing, you have got marketing, you've got finance. There are a whole lot of things, a whole lot of verticals and horizontals that combines the company. Those verticals and horizontals will be differentiated as business units. This business units can be maintained manually or it can be integrated as well from the ERP system. from ERP system. We need to have, depending upon whether it is a cloud software or it is a on-premises server, we need to have the required middleware. Based upon the requirements that we have got, we can go ahead and construct the architecture, push the data from the ERP to the field bars. Or else we have got other one where we can maintain things manually, as like we do with the suppliers. How we do it manually? We do it like this: new business unit, add new business unit. We need to have the code. This code is something which should be there in the ERP system as well. This is the master data. This will be filled up in most of the transaction data. If the transaction data needs to be approved and it has to go to the other system and get things done, if it has to be paid, for example, if this invoice a contractor works in some particular business unit and it has to be timesheet, has to be approved, it has to be invoiced, and it has to go back to the ERP, and at the ERP the data will match. And hence the code should be matching. If we are maintaining it manually, we need to maintain the data accordingly, according to the ERP's data. The code and the name, the parent business unit, it should all be from the ERP system. Company code. Association is like it's a combination of the business unit, is a combination of a vertical or a horizontal within the company and its company code which it is being associated. That's pretty much. Distributor required on and forth is like, we can understand how exactly it needs to be done. Based upon the setup in the company, we can select if a distributor is required for that particular business unit. If it's a requester required, the requester is the person who is going to request for the temporary workers or the contractors. Distributor is the person who will be involved and who will be approving the stuff within this job posting, requisitions and selection of contractors and on. And we can add this. By adding this, we can have a new business unit here. That's how manually we maintain it. No doubt we have the connector for this as well. Standard business unit upload. This is the connector through which we can upload the same data we saw there on screen. The same data needs to be updated here in the CSV file. By doing that, once uploaded, the business unit will be created within the system and it can be utilized in transaction documents. Business unit. We have got something called company code. Company code is again, it's like horizontals within the company, and business unit forms the verticals through integration from the ERP. As like I explained to you with the business unit, the same holds good with the company code as well. If we go to any of the company codes, we see the required information with respect to the company code. Similarly, we have got the template as well as like the business unit. We have got the template as well, which you can start exploring by today or say by tomorrow. I'll be sharing the credentials now once by the end of this session, and you guys can try exploring things within the system. Similarly, we can use the template and upload it. When we are maintaining it manually, we'll be having numerous data that needs to be maintained. At one shot, at the time of implementation itself, we would have created whatever the data we have got in ERP on top of it. If we have any new creations of business units or the company codes, we'll be doing it manually, either in the interface or by using the connector. Company details is something which is entered at the time of implementation itself by the field class. It just gives the company's info, not much about that cost object or the cost center. Cost object or the cost center is the code against which the costing will be recorded. Any business, any verticals in the horizontals. As such, they'll be having their own cost centers against which they need to book the cost. Book the cost. In the sense, for example, if one of you guys is working for as an administrator for one of the softwares, you come under any of the technology horizontals. Whatever the name they call, it is the technology horizontal ender that they'll be having the cost center against the software to which you're supporting. Whenever you book the timesheet, it is against that cost center. Again, even this can be maintained manually or through ERP. Some of the companies maintain it manually. Many of them try to integrate it with ERP that there will be no confusion. Access because there's whole lot of data major in it. Manually is not a joke. We provide the required information. It's just the data that needs to be here that it can be utilized in any of the transactional documents. We have got the connector again for this. Whichever the connector you would like to search for, go ahead. And they're not the integration audit tab. Go ahead and search under upload. Here, cost object is a wording what's been used here. We spoke about the cost center. These are the connectors related to the cost center, and upload user cost center is one of the standard connector that's been used here for uploading the cost center. By using this connector, no doubt the same data that we saw in the interface, we see the same data that needs to be updated here. However, we can do it in book as many data as we want. We can update in the Excel sheet and upload it once that we can maintain the same data in the Fieldglass system. Business Unit Company Code Cost Object. It is all in the same manner. We can maintain one manually or through ERP node, ERP integration. We need to integrate it where the integration uses this connector and upload the data by itself, or we need to do this manually. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.